In this video, we're going to look at the lymphatic system and how it is intimately tied to the cardiovascular system. So in the center here, we have our heart, and the right side of the heart is going to be pumping deoxygenated blood to the lung capillaries, shown up here. There, we're going to oxygenate that blood. It's going to turn a much brighter red color. We're also going to give off CO2 to that alveolar air so it can be exhaled. Now that oxygenated blood is going to come back to the left side of the heart, be repressurized to travel to what we call the systemic circuit. Right? It's going to travel to all of the body capillaries that are not at that alveolar surface for gas exchange in the lungs. And so these capillaries are found pretty much everywhere except the lungs. Now, regardless of whether they're lung capillaries or body capillaries, there is an imbalance of the pressures within those capillaries such that fluid tends to move generally outward. Right? There is a net pressure outward, and that's driven by blood hydrostatic pressure. It tends to push fluid and small solutes out into the interstitial space, as indicated by these arrows here. Now, there is an opposing force, the blood oncotic pressure, due to the presence of trapped plasma proteins. But the blood hydrostatic pressure, the outward pressure, tends to win, and so we get net movement of fluid out into the interstitium. Well, the lymphatic systems exist partially to pick up that excess interstitial fluid, and as we can see, it's going to pass through these blind-ended vessels unidirectionally, and there are valves here to prevent backflow, unidirectionally back into the circulatory system. Actually enters large veins in the upper chest. That's going to be true for the lymphatics at the lungs or the lymphatics in our body outside of the lungs. Now, that certainly serves a purpose, right? That imbalance of capillary pressures, if not that extra fluid was not picked up, we would have swelling of our interstitial space out here. Right? So the fluid compartment balancing is accomplished by this lymphatic system return of interstitial fluid, and it's called lymph once it's within the lymphatic system, to the plasma up here at these large veins. Now, a secondary and a very important function of the lymphatic system is the existence of secondary lymphatic structures, the lymph nodes along the way here. We have a couple of them shown along these lymph vessels. So as this lymph passes through the lymphatic system, it passes through these nodes, and within the nodes, we have what are called naive B and T cells. These are essentially white blood cells that help in defense against foreign pathogens, like bacteria or viral particles. And we actually have phagocytic cells in the interstitium, we could draw one out here, that gobble up these foreign antigens that might be introduced into the interstitium, say via a cut or a splinter. And those pathogens are then taken up and delivered into the lymphatic system, where they are shown to, those foreign particles, foreign pathogens, are shown to these naive B and T cells, white blood cells, to initiate an immune response that's very specific to that invading pathogen. So our lymphatic system is important for both fluid compartment balance, making sure that our interstitial fluid does not become excessive, and also very importantly for immune function, helping to expose foreign antigens that infect us to our white blood cells that are found, not all of them, but many of them are localized to these secondary lymphoid structures known as the lymph nodes.